Hi, I wanted to make this video because I've been thinking. And this time I've been thinking about retirement spending. So the reason I've been thinking about retirement spending is because from all the things I've studied so far about retirement, I've seen that people can often struggle to enjoy spending their money in retirement. Partly because of the worries about not having enough, but also because they struggle to make the transition from saving to spending after all the years of trying to grow their wealth. So when I first started researching about retirement, I thought I probably already knew what the potential challenges people faced in retirement might be. But this one came as a bit of a surprise, and one that I probably wouldn't have thought of if I hadn't been digging a bit deeper into the subject. But now that I come to think of it, it does make sense that people might find it quite difficult to enjoy spending the money that they've saved for their retirement. And I've seen it mentioned quite a lot as a common challenge and a potential source of regret. So I want to be able to take some learning from that to help me plan for my own fantastic retirement. So I've seen a lot of advice around saving for retirement, and I think that is certainly the biggest priority. But if we become too focused on saving, I can see that it might be difficult and less fun to actually start spending the money, that you've worked so hard to accumulate. But I hope with a bit of work and the right mindset, we can minimise the risk of that happening. So I've already looked at budgeting for retirement in terms of how much my life might cost and whether or not I can afford it. But this is slightly different because it's about looking a bit deeper into why things are in your budget or not, and whether those decisions are right for you. So I think feeling confident about the things included in your budget should help to take away some of the guilt or worry about spending on them when the time comes. So after thinking about how I'd like to approach this challenge, I realised that I won't be able to make good decisions about my money unless I figure out what's important to me in life. If I want to get the balance right between cutting back on the things that aren't important to make my money stretch further and last longer, and then loosening the restrictions on the things that are important so that I can enjoy spending my money without guilt or regret. I'll need to be clear about what is and isn't important to me. So maybe you're already doing this, and I think I was to a certain extent, but not really with retirement in mind. So now that I'm linking it to retirement, I feel like I've got a different motivation to take a closer look and see whether my spending and my saving match my values in life. I know that I've always been willing to spend quite a lot on holidays, and it was money that could have been saved or spent on something more practical. But I've allowed myself to spend on the holidays because I know that they're important to me. So that spending definitely fits with my values and I don't regret it. It has always come at a cost though, and I've needed to balance the cost of those holidays by cutting back on other things. And I can see now that this type of approach is going to be useful heading towards retirement. So the process of trying to keep other costs lower to allow space in the budget for bigger spending on the things that are important and then being able to enjoy them without any guilt or worry. I can also see that it potentially becomes even more important in retirement to make sure you're spending your money on the right things when the ability to replace spent money can be a lot less. So I can see the need to be even more sure about what's important to you so that you can feel more confident that you're not wasting money that won't be replaced, which is probably the thing that causes the most doubt and hesitation. So it's interesting to give some more thought to this, because I can see that as I've got older and have a little bit more money available, I haven't been cutting back as hard on the things that aren't important to me, because it hasn't felt quite as necessary. And I've still been able to have my holidays. So I think basically I've allowed more wasteful spending to creep in. So now that I'm looking at things with more of a retirement mindset, I feel a bit less happy about that approach, because I can see that being less careful with my day-to-day spending might actually be damaging my future and probably isn't bringing that much more enjoyment to my current life anyway. So I'm glad to have the chance to reassess it. So I think I might have become a bit caught up in telling myself that I've worked hard to be able to buy more things and shouldn't feel guilty about it. And I do kind of stand by that, because when you've worked hard all your life, I think you do deserve some treats and to have more of the things you want in life. But I think I might have accidentally lost sight of what it is that I really want in life. And I've been maybe falling for some of the pressure that's all around us to buy things and to keep up with what other people are buying. You know, maybe when you've got a little bit more disposable income available, it's easier to become more relaxed about waste. But actually the reality might be that, say, the coffee and sandwich that you buy for lunch every day might mean that you'll have to work an extra year before you can retire, or you'll have to miss out on the holiday that you dreamed of. And when you look at it like that, it becomes something quite different. I think if that coffee and sandwich really make your day and make your life feel better, or perhaps it's special time with a friend or supporting your favourite local coffee shop, then they're probably the right decision. But if you just need something to eat and you're not too bothered what it is, then it probably isn't the right decision for your money, even if it does feel affordable and maybe even expected because everyone else seems to be doing it. So I think just taking a moment to step back and think about what's important to you can give you a chance to see whether your spending matches your values in life. I do enjoy having nice treats at lunchtime, but just the food or drink itself wouldn't be high enough on my priorities to make me want to sacrifice something else in order to have it. And just because I'm not making the sacrifice in the moment that I'm spending that money, it doesn't mean there isn't one in the longer term. So having that awareness of whether the treat really is a treat is actually, or is just actually taking money from something that would be more important to me, it does help me to view it differently. I do want to be careful, though, not to suck the joy out of my life by not allowing myself to have nice things. I just want to be more aware of weighing up how much I actually want something and what it might be costing me in the long run. If I want it enough, then I'll definitely have it. But I want to be more aware with my spending to make sure that my everyday decisions support what's really important to me in life. So maybe a nice compromise for that sort of thing would be to set myself a small budget for wasteful spending, so that I can still buy things that aren't important to the bigger picture, but with a limit, so that there doesn't need to be any guilt or worry connected to it. I think I like that idea. And I think if I can get used to making better decisions now, I can get into the right mindset for not wasting my precious, finite retirement money on things that don't matter to me. so that I'm able to spend more freely on the things that do matter without feeling guilty, because I'll know that I've got the balance right and living according to my values and my budget. So rather than trying to make a list of the things that are important to me or aren't, I've decided to try asking myself before I buy anything that I might not need, how important is it to me and does it fit with my values? And it can be an uncomfortable question, but that's really the point. And I found it's quite effective because I don't find it easy to lie to myself. So I'll know if I'm about to buy something that isn't actually very important to me, and then I can stop myself, unless I choose to use my new wasteful spending budget on it. And if I do stop myself from buying the thing, I make sure to remind myself why it doesn't fit with my values. I don't want extra clutter in my life as I get older, and I don't want to delay retirement so that I can have more things now. Those values are much more important to me than anything I can find in a shop. I think I used to try telling myself that I deserve it when I was buying something, but telling myself that I deserve to work an extra year before I retire doesn't feel like a treat in the same way that buying an item might have done. And I really do want a fantastic retirement in the not too distant future, with the freedom to spend money on the things that are important to me. That's the reason not to waste money on things that aren't important. And it's a great reason to not let mindless spending get in the way of my goals. And I think if I don't keep a closer eye on my wasteful spending, it will make my lifestyle seem more expensive than it needs to be, and then make my retirement budget look higher than it needs to be. So I'm glad to have given myself the opportunity to rethink that. It isn't necessarily about cutting back, because I'd already worked out that my retirement budget could cover my costs, but it's about building confidence in my spending decisions, knowing that they fit with my values in life and my budget. I've realised that I'm glad to go back to being more restrictive with the things that aren't important to me, despite the fact that I might find it easier to afford them now, because I can see the longer term cost to me of wasteful spending, and it isn't what I want. So I think these next few years ahead of my retirement can be my time to practice the approach of being more restrictive, or at least more careful about spending on things that don't fit with my longer term values, and allowing and enjoying the permission to spend more freely on the things that are important to me and do fit with my values. And I can do that without any guilt, as long as they fit within my budget. So that's exactly the mindset I want to cultivate for my retirement. So if I can start getting used to it now, I hope it will make it easier to enjoy my retirement money when I get there. So, thinking back to the original question, is there anything I can do now to help make sure that I don't get stuck in the saving mindset that will make it harder for me to enjoy spending my money when I reach retirement? So I think yes, we can all be thinking about what's important to us in life and making sure that our spending and saving matches those values. It feels good to stop wasting money on things that aren't important and allowing more spending on things that are. So I think I'm going to enjoy practicing this retirement money mindset, and I hope you do too. So I hope you've taken something useful from this video, but I think that's all for this time. So thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.